Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz, April 14, 2016 at 11:10 p.m. Please don't get tired of hearing about what happens in Israel because that dictates us. That tells us what's coming next for America. That's our time clock over there. That's the world's time clock. Look, if you think we're the only ones talking about it, I mean, everybody is talking about it. Every country, Japan, China, Australia. Look, I mean, everyone is watching Israel. They're watching Israel closer than they watch their own clock because that's the clock. That's the timepiece. And everybody knows it's seconds to midnight. Everybody knows that, or seconds to 12. You call it midnight or noon, but I say midnight. That is the very, very end of the day or end of the time. But I'm going to tell you why all this, you know, all this flapping their gums, what we're going to do to Israel, what we're going to do to the United States, what we're going to do to all the Christians in all of Europe and Africa and all in the West, everywhere, what we're going to do, what's here. Why is it that they run their mouths so much, all of them, and they went through every country just like hot knife through warm butter? Just sliced it up and just whatever they wanted. But they're scared to death to go in the tiniest country of all, Israel. Those guys will wet their britches thinking about having to go in and cross Israel. Really. The only way they'll do it is what they're doing now, is running over and hit and run the hell back. Throw a rock and hit, run back. These are idiots. You're doing things that you got old fat farmer sitting up on a porch and you got somebody out there taunting his personal property, and one day he's going to reach over on that rocking chair and pick up that 12 gauge and you're gone. Well, this is what you're doing. You're messing with God's personal property. This is why no country, look in the past, every country since Israel came home in 1948, since they came home, no one has been able to defeat them. They came home on what, May the 5th in 48, and they were attacked on May the 6th. Really. And they lost. The Jews kicked their butts right back to where they came from. That quick. And then you've had several mini wars. You had the biggest, which was the 67 War. And it was a 3-day war, but look what Israel gained. They gained enough property, for a buffer. They gained Jerusalem back, which they'll never let go of that again. God made it clear to Benjamin Netanyahu, look, I put you here for a reason, and you misbehaved, and I took you out. I put you back, and you know what I want. And Benjamin Netanyahu, guys, I bet you $1 to every nickel that this man has a personable relationship with God where they speak and talk almost on a daily basis. I believe that. As David talked to God, Benjamin Netanyahu is the modern day David. He's the modern day Moses. He is it. all eyes in the world are on that man. And for him to, like he did the first time he was prime minister, this time, this man's like a rock. He has not budged. And he will not budge. He will not give up anything. He will not give up a sliver, not even an inch. So he will be attacked. And he will, once again, end it quickly. And then you have the attack. This is going to be the Ezekiel 38, 39. And that will end as quick as it started. At evening time, they attacked. When the sun rose, they were gone. That's just what happened when Gideon and his 300 circled an army of 200 plus thousand and defeated them. They killed each other. Gideon didn't move. They sat up on a hill and watched them. And this is what's going to happen. And by the way, I want to bring up another thing. There is very, very, very specifically selective judgment. And I'm bringing this up because the walls of Jericho, if you're going to read that story, God made it very clear what the Jews were to do. That included marching around the city a certain number of times, certain number of days, sounding their ram horns at the same time, on a certain day. And then he told them, he said, then this day, when you do it, then the whole city will fall and you can walk right in. And that's exactly what happened. But there's one woman that had a relationship with God. And he told her through an angel to lay a thread in her windowsill. And that thread would be red. And when the angel of death comes to knock the walls of that city down, everything would fall except her house. Everything fell but her house. That red was the color of blood. That's the blood that protected her. And in the morning time, that thread had turned white. And if you go back and look, it's a very, very good story. But you can also see just recently, in the last month, maybe even a little less than that, it was finally proven that they did find Jericho, the very specific spot where it was. And they also proved that every building, every wall fell in the entire city, but one small structure, it stood, and they don't know why until they read the story in the Bible. And they proved that that structure did not fall, that it remained. Selective judgment. You have storms blowing through America. Unfortunately, it rains on the just and the unjust. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to tell you what I do. And every time I hear thunder, I pray that if there's a judgment in that storm, that it will pass over my home and my daughters and their jobs and their property. I've done that for a long, long time. I believe very deeply in selective judgment. And God made it clear too many times in selective judgment. So keep that in mind. Your prayer can cause a tornado to hop over your house. I'm not saying always. I'm just saying it can. Jody Wolf Expoz.